at 451,529 at the beginning of the year. However, for the new year, we're expecting that to be 199,309. So what does that mean to the district? What that means is that at the end of our transfer, we expect and we're proposing that we would put into fund balance 761,690 compared to last year's deficit of 2.6 million when you consider all those items together. And here I'm showing just the Chapter 41 by itself. Chapter 41 last year was estimated at the beginning of the year to be 33.9 million, and this year we're expecting it to be 29.2 million, which is a difference of 4.7 million. Okay, so probably an important question that is good for the board as an overview is our fund balance. This is our projected fund balance through the end of the month, August 31 of 2025, but the run date for this was after the August 15th payroll, so we got as close as we possibly could. Our audited fund balance, which is a true actual audited number, as of August 31, 2024 last year, was 24,045,453. For the general fund, revenues to date for the current year for 24-25, we have collected 60,691,000, and expenses have been 27,604 at this point, which was July 31. We ran this on 8/12. It did not include the Chapter 41 payment that we did make already on August the 7th, I believe. So at this point, our actual revenue over expenses as of July 31 was 33,086,345. Now on the projections piece, we are including the Chapter 41 payment, which was actually 35,421,453, and we're expecting to collect an additional 1.9 million in revenue. Our August expenses are expected to be roughly about 2.7 million, and our transfer to student nutrition is expected to be 183,478. So when I net all of that together, we expect our fund balance to change by 3.3 million, leaving us with 20,728,983 as a projection. Okay? Am I too close? Come help me. Jerry, did it go? Oh, okay, good. Okay, so that takes care of the general fund proposed budget. For the child nutrition budget, so what I did here is I provided a chronology over the several years. For the 24-25 year, we projected revenue of 1,889,621. Does not change a lot for the 25-26 school year, moving towards 1,881,259. And thank you, Karen, for all your work on this. The expenses for the 24-25 school year are expected to be 2,343,649. And the proposed budget for the new year is 2,080,568.72. And then on the general fund transfer from general fund to food service, because they should net out to zero at the end, because food service blends into general fund together. They're both general funds for the district. So our proposed transfer then would be 199,309 compared to 454,029 in the previous year. Okay. And then we have debt service. So debt service is all of our bond payments. Okay, so this is the second part of our tax rate. The M&O is for operations, and the INS is for the debt service for our bond payments. So on the debt service side, we're expecting our revenue to go from 11,421,873 to 10,297,223 for the 25-26 school year. Our expenses, which are our bond payments, are going from 11,896,75 to 8,375,800 in the new year. And our net revenue over expenditures, let me explain why there's a difference here. So in the 24-25 school year, this year, the year that we're in right now, our board members made a decision to keep the tax rate the same. And by doing that, then we took and we adopted a budget that would allow us to take 468,801 from the INS fund balance to pay for our bond payments so that we can maintain that same level of tax. Now, for the new year, for the 25-26 school year, by keeping, and you have the authority to do this, by keeping the INS tax rate the same at 0.135, which would be a very minimal impact to our homeowners because of our property wealth being in the oil industry, we would actually collect an additional revenue over expenses of $1,921,423. Now, overall, remember, if you adopt the budget, the budget and the tax rate that we're proposing, it would still be a decrease in the total tax rate to the community of 0.0027. However, by doing this, it would allow us to target this 1.9 million towards defeasance at the, when we get through the collections and we're confirmed that the collections have come in as expected, it would come back to the board at that time. And that would be a significant savings to the district, to the community, as far as our interest on the bonds that we owe. So in summary, we are demonstrating in our budget that we've posted on our website, the general fund, food service, and debt service in total. And then you have your revenues and expenses as I just described. And then we're also outlining the expenditures by function code. And then at the end, we're showing you how does that impact our fund balance. And so in summary, for the general fund, we're targeted, right? If our proposed budget, if we stay in alignment, we should be able to put into fund balance $761,690 on the M&O side, and on the INS, 1.9 million, which I described as going towards that defeasance payment, okay? Whoops. And Ms. Pearson, I know you had a budget message that you wanted to share.
Thank you, Ms. Diaz, for your presentation. Yes, the proposed budget for the 25-26 school year is presented as a financial plan that reflects both responsibility and vision. It is aligned with our district's core priorities and long-term goals, ensuring that every dollar is directed towards supporting student success, strengthening instruction, and maintaining a safe and supportive school environment. While mindful of ongoing fiscal challenges, not just in the state of Texas, but across the United States, this budget upholds our commitment to prudent stewardship of resources and to providing the highest quality education for every student that we serve. Thank you, Ms. Diaz.
Thank you. So I guess we would open it to the community if they had any input.
Madam President, I have a question. So we ended up 24-25 school year with 88% ADA, right? And we project 25-26 ADA to be 88% too, right, Ms. Person? And I guess for the last 2 months, we have an average of 90 ADA already, right? So I think for next year, we're confident that we can achieve like 90%. Is that right? Oh. So, just for the budget, we just consider 88%, just to be safe, right? Conservative, right, that's the term. So,
Yes, sir.
I just want to know how, what is the composition of the local revenues? Did you, how much percentage of the total of the tax revenue did you project? And how much interest earnings did you project? And if the if the other sources like the 45,
Mhm.
it was $45 ADA Texas state allotment, right? And the 106
this up,
per enrollment allotment there. If how much are in there?
Yes, all of the weighted, so the Texas public finance is extremely complicated, and it's WADA, it's a weighted average daily attendance, and it depends on populations of students, special education, GT, CT, they're all weighted differently. Carrizo Springs CISD is fortunate that we partner with Moat Casey, who leads the charge in Texas school finance, and so TA submits documents for our review with our finances. We run it through Moat Casey as well. And so all of the new legislation through the 89th legislative session was all accounted for in our financing. Ms. Diaz, I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
I do. What I want to add too is that Moak and Casey also collaborated with our tax assessor's office with Ms. Sandoval, and she's here as well. And Citadel and I also visited with her, and we reviewed our tax worksheet, and we also have signed off, and we felt comfortable with the projections as well. So it is a thorough review. And as far as the
Yeah.
detailed line items that you wanted, sir, I will be sharing that with you with the board.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't have to be today.
Okay,
Maybe
sir.
later.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Diaz.
Thank you.
We'll go to item 5, Lone Star Governance. Discussion and possible action to approve the Lone Star Governance Board self-assessment. Any questions from anybody on this is the one that we have to, our self-assessment we have to, yeah. Do I have any motion?
If no questions, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Well-
Second.
Who was that, Michael? Motion made by Wilbur Cruz, seconded by Jeff Ortiz, to approve the Lone Star Governance Board self-assessment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Item B, presentation of the NWEA MAPS end-of-the-year data.
Good evening, Ms. Pearson and esteemed board members. Tonight we have two presentations. The first one is the NWA MAPS end-of-year data, which we administered in May. We had previously shared with you the beginning and middle of the year. So tonight we'll be presenting that end-of-the-year results from May. And then a follow-up to that would be previously the board had approved what we call the HB3 goals, which are the early literacy and math goals, along with college, career, and military readiness goals, which were a five-year goal plan. And so tonight we're going to be presenting the goal progress measures, which are, if approved, will be our checkpoints to present to the board on a monthly basis to see our progress toward meeting our yearly goals. So I'll hand it to Dr. Rubalcaba, who will be presenting the data to you all.
Good evening, board members. Please stop me at any point if you have any questions. So we'll begin with our district vision, inspiring lifelong learners, and our mission statement to provide every child a quality education in a safe environment. So as we look at this end-of-year data, it is going to inform the goal progress measures that myself, Mrs. Pearson, Mr. Talamantes, and our principals put a lot of work into to ensure that they are defining what we identify as meeting grade level. So when we talk about percentile with our MAP assessment, you'll see that the 60th percentile means that the students scored better than 60% of students in the same grade across the country. So it's not just a state comparison, it is a nationwide comparison with hundreds of thousands of data points used to conjure up this number. So why does this matter? We are defining the 60th percentile, and NWEA defines the 60th percentile as above average performance. So you'll see that when we get into our goal progress measures, our goal is really focusing on our students meeting grade level and above. So the national average is going to be the 50th percentile. If we see that our students are above the 60th, this is suggesting that the district is performing better than national norms. It also is used to track progress over time, evaluate instructional effectiveness, and guide resource allocation. So when we look at our district with a quick visual, these percentages reflect the students per grade level that are above the 60th percentile. You can see that our average as a district sits between 25 and 35%, respectfully. We do see our outlier as 8th grade Algebra 1, which is an advanced group of students. So you'll see our highest being 74% of Algebra 1 students are considered above that 60th percentile, and again, K7 sits between that 25-35% range. And you'll see our 8th grade at 8% and our Algebra 1 at 2%. So similar comparative groups, same point of time. So this is end of year assessment. And this is for math. So the next graph is going to outline our RLA outcomes. So you'll see here that we sit a little bit higher, a little closer to that 35%, K11. With our outlier being second grade, that came in at a 52% of students scoring above that 60th percentile, which is significant. That is our current third grade cohort. And really, we see around 8th grade, we do see a positive increase up to 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. What is interesting and the most really significant point of this data set is that while this was our first year implementing the MAP assessment, the data has provided us with a positive correlation and a really good projection of how our students do on STAR. So if you look at this table, this is just a condensed version of the percentage of students above the 60th percentile. So that column, that second column labeled EOY is that 60th percentile number, and the column furthest to the right is the STAR meets. So you'll see how close those numbers are with what the state defines as meeting grade level and that 60th percentile. So just looking, 4th grade, for example, is about 2% off. We're within 3% at 5th grade. So really close data points here. Really with the only outliers a little bit more towards secondary level, but for the most part, we're seeing a really close correlation between students scoring in the 60th and our STAR meets data. The next slide is the same data, but looking at our reading language arts scores. So same story here. You'll see that our 3rd grade percentage was 1% off of the projection. Just keep in mind these tests are not related in any way, but they're telling us very similar info. So we see that trend as we go on. 9th grade was identical at 32%, and 10th grade very close within 4% as well. Any questions on any of these metrics?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering why the math 8th grade is 8% and 8th grade Algebra 1 is 74% and 9th grade Algebra 1 is 9%. 2%. So what could be the reason why the 74% eighth grade algebra?
It's a great question, Mr. Doria. So when we look at our eighth grade, both student groups are in eighth grade. However, we have a general education group that makes up this 8%, and we have our advanced testers that take the Algebra 1 assessment. So that indicates the reason for that. In order to qualify for Algebra 1, typically in 7th grade, they would have had to have been in that upper 60th percentile already. So the grouping of the students. Same story for 9th grade Algebra 1. So the 8th grade group feeds into the 9th grade Algebra 1 students. So just the way that they're separated and the way that they test. Thank you for your question. Any other questions? Okay, wonderful. If there are any questions on the data, feel free. I'm always happy to go back. But if it's okay, I can move on to the goal progress measures presentation. So as we are discussing these goal progress measures, we are seeking approval to instate these to ensure that we're meeting our targets. So our first annual goal is listed at the top. So it is our CCMR goal, and this is what was approved. So increasing our CCMR outcomes from 84% to 100 by May 2030. So in order to meet that, we've set the following goal progress measures. So GPM 1.1 is increasing the students graduating with dual credit. So either they are earning 3 or more hours in RLA or math, or overall 9 hours total, or an associate's degree. So our first goal is focusing on the group of dual credit hours, and we will increase from 25% to 27% in May of 2026, and you'll see the 5-year targets outlined in the chart as well. The second GPM will be the percentage of students earning industry-based certifications, so increasing from 60 to 62 by the end of the year, and the annual targets correspond next to it. And our last GPM for this CCMR goal is the percentage of high school students who meet the TSI criteria in reading and math, and increasing from 10% to 12% by the end of the year, and our annual targets corresponding next to it. Any questions on our CCMR GPMs? I'll move on to our next goal. So goal 2 is the percentage of 3rd grade students who score meets or above on STAR reading assessment. So the approved goal is sitting at the top along with the goal targets out to 2030. And each of the GPMs below, you will see that we chose to focus on kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade. So our first GPM is that the percentage of kindergarten students achieving above the 60th percentile on boy beginning of year reading map assessment will increase from 27 to 30 by the end of the year. And you'll see our annual targets next to it. GPM 2.2, the percent of 1st grade students achieving above the 60th percentile will increase from 34 to 37% by the end of May 2026. And then GPM 2.3, the percent of 2nd grade students achieving above the 60th will increase from 31 to 34 by the end of May 2026. So this is our reading annual target with the GPMs presented below. Any questions for our 3rd grade reading and corresponding GPMs? You will see the colors that correspond to the cohorts because we are tracking these kiddos to their annual target in 3rd grade. The next slide looks pretty much identical, with the difference being that this is focused on our math STAR. You'll see that our annual target above is focusing on increasing that meets grade level in math, 3rd grade math from 24 to 45 by June 2029. And then you'll see our GPMs outlined below. So 3.1 is focusing on kindergarten students, increasing their performance in the 60th percentile from 29 to 32. 3.2 is 1st grade students, increasing that map beginning of year data from 28 to 31, and 3.3 focusing on our 2nd grade group of students, increasing from 36 to 39%. And similar cadence here with the colors representing the cohorts. Our final goal is focusing on our 7th grade students. So meets on math will increase from 39% to 46% in 5 years. When we look at these goal progress measures, GPM 4.1 is looking at the 7th grade students achieving the 60th percentile, so very similar to our previous. So the increase is expected to be from 34 to 37 with our yearly targets on the right. When we look at GPM 4.2, we are looking at MAP once again, but we are looking to increase specifically for a group of students. So Mr. Doria asked me a wonderful question earlier, stating why does our data look different? So when we consider our 7th grade students, the 7th grade general education takes the 7th grade star, while 7th grade advanced takes the 8th grade star. So what we've chosen to do is ensure that we're looking at both groups and setting fair targets for both groups. And our last GPM here will be to look at our 6th grade cohort that of course feeds into 7th and ensuring that they are achieving growth in the 60th percentile as well from 21 to 24% by the end of the year, along with our annual targets here. Any questions on any of these 4 goals? I know it's a lot of numbers, but we did take a lot of time, and again, I want to give kudos especially to our principals that have looked at this data backwards and forwards many times.
I had a question.
I don't
I-
have
I have a-
questions, but great job of putting all this together. It looks great, so.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. We appreciate it.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I've seen all the hard work that was going on over the summer with all the teachers, all the different trainings going on that they attended, and I see the excitement. So I'm sure they already have their plan in place of how they're going to meet all these targets and probably exceed all these targets based on all the enthusiasm I see from the trainings.
Yes, that is our hope. Thank you for that. And of course, as we mentioned, we'll test beginning of year here in 2 weeks, and that's our first data point. And then, of course, we'll have middle of year, and we'll continue to update our progress if you do choose to accept these goals and approve them.
Another question. So how often will we be seeing the, like, the progress reports that you're just
So
mentioned?
it does vary. So anything with MAP, which is a majority, a grand percentage of them, we do test 3 times a year. So it will be every time that we have data to present to ensure that we're on track. When we look at our CCMR goal, which is our first one, the cadence of this varies based on verifiers. So the state sends us verifiers, typically in July, one in the summer, and then one in the fall and one in the spring. So post-verifier is when we'll be able to update our, really if we're on track to meet these.
I had a question on your CCMR. Is there like, is there something that you can tell us, like how they plan to get that increase for this year?
Yes, that's a great question, and I'm happy to share with Mr. Cantu, but I'll speak to it. We've met many times along with Ms. Ponce, our CCMR coordinator. So each of these goals were very specific. When we talk about increasing our accountability rating for CCMR and meeting these annual targets, it works like a checklist. The students get a yes or a no if they met the CCMR criteria. Each of these goal progress measures is one of those checks. So when we look at the first one, it's dual credit hours. So it's really ensuring that our students have what's necessary to take those classes and what we're offering. So we did partner, as you are aware, with Sol Ross as well, and Southwest Texas College to ensure that we have those offerings available. 1.2 is looking at our IBCs, so ensuring that our students are enrolled in the appropriate courses to receive this IBC test. It takes a lot of work on the counselor's end as well to make sure that our kiddos they stick with the degree plan from freshman year to senior year. And our last GPM is really the one that we believe will be the most impactful because it's looking at that TSI criteria, which is often the precursor to students being able to enroll in the dual credit course in the first place. So one way that we've really looked at this is that college prep course. So our students are offered this at junior year and ensuring that we get really all of our kiddos through this program if they haven't met the other 2 criteria.
Thank you. Thank you.
I kind of want to follow up with Ms. Franco, her question. So what would be a fair timeline to start seeing results? She asked the question, but I don't think we really got a, so, okay, and I know you're doing beginning of year. When would be, what board meeting could we see some results?
So when we're talking about our beginning of year data, and I'll reference our map for this. So this number and these percentages, we began with beginning of year data, but that's based on the cohort before.
Right.
So we
right.
take beginning of year data in 2 weeks. Our window opens on September 15th, and it's 3 weeks. So 3 weeks after September 15th, we would be able to report our beginning of year data.
Okay. So, could
October.
numbers come every board meeting? Is that, I don't want to, just surprise, but I'm just saying, is it doable?
So depending on which data points we want to use, we can absolutely bring student data to the board every
Okay.
month. There's always something that we can bring, but
Okay.
our big data points, NWA maps,
Yes.
that's going to be after our beginning of the year,
Right.
we assess, there's a window for makeups, and then we close the window. When we close the window, then we can disaggregate the data and bring the data to the board. So that probably would be October board meeting. We would be able to do that. For middle of the year, because we don't assess, it's December, January, Christmas comes in there, I would say February.
Yeah, our window is mid-February, so either that February board meeting or the following.
So maybe not something at a board meeting, but something you could provide for us, like class breakdowns. Let's see how they're doing every 6 weeks or 3 weeks, and because
Absolutely.
we want to
100%.
crunch those numbers with you guys as well. So
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
we
how-
definitely have that data. Dr. Dubacava does a great job with the principals and the teachers. I think an exciting point to share with the board is that our teachers are so excited for the reports that they've gotten to where they're like, when can we see the data? When can we see the data? And especially now that we're at data capture year for the TIA, Teacher Incentive Allotment, it even means more now this year because it's tied for our teachers' recognition of their hard work because they care so deeply to close the gaps for our students. So we'll share reports with you every month. We're
Okay.
still working with our governance coach, Dr. Ramos, as you all are working with him. We had a call with him on Friday. He said that, he wants us to have really good reports at least 4 times a year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Ubacava or Mr. Talamantes, but 4 times a year he wants a full.
Yeah. So yeah.
But there are really other in between that we can bring.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And it is a requirement. So once these, if these goal progress measures are approved, the next step is that reporting timeline, and we can give you that breakdown. So every meeting, you're aware of which data points we will update you. But by all means, we can share the data as soon as we have it.
So remind me, how often are the teachers saying, I want to see my numbers, I want to see my data?
So they were antsy to get it at the beginning of the year because, of course, they get their data once they're rostered. So we
Right.
had to input their new roster. So we were getting pinged, I want my student data. Can you give it to me beforehand? So they're asking for the year before. That way they can plan for their current kiddos. So in the summer, we got them as many numbers as we could to provide them with that info. But they have access to it in real time, just as we do.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
But I think to summarize, Dr. Dubacalva, the board will be getting a calendar of when we will be
Yes.
bringing them the data. That is part of our governance work.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. So this was first step is getting approved GPMs, and then from there, we'll continue the work.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I see GPM, I see CCMR. What are we doing? What can we do? And I see lots of percentages. What are we doing? What can we do to educate the parents what all these numbers mean, to make sure that our students' attendance continues to improve and our accountability ratings improve? How can we educate the parents on how important these percentages are and what they mean?
That's a great question, Mr. Morones. And I know, did you want to speak? Okay, I'll hand it off to Mr. Cantor.
So at the beginning of the year, we did have, probably last week, we had a meeting with all the dual credit parents. we explain to them the whole, what it is, what it means, and the whole process. Ms. Ponce has been doing personal meetings one-on-one with the parents, calling them in, showing them where they stand, and discussing all this with them. So she does have those one-on-one. They're going to the high school, they're going straight to their office, and she's sitting down with them, and they're going over all this information. But we did have a general one before we did that. And the cool part about it is the junior college, when they found out they wanted to join, so they joined, and they said, so they can give that same information. And when Soras hears about it, they said, well, we want to join too. So they both came down, they were part of it, and that's where Ashton gave out that information. So, and we talked about attendance, we talked about all that, so.
I compliment all our teachers in the whole district for the improvements that were made this recent year. But I want to make sure that the parents are on board
Right.
on how important this is, not only at your campus, but every campus.
Right.
Without the parents, it's not possible.
Can I just add something? I know part of our job that we're gonna do as a board is also to have meetings and to help the teachers, to help you out with that, educating the parents on all this information, on all the goals that we have, so that they are hearing it from us as well, too.
So that everybody
to the parents.
understands what GPM means.
Correct, yes,
Not
Mr.
just us,
Right.
but so that the public, the parents understand what all of these goals are.
100%. And at the end of the day, really what we're looking at is on grade level and meeting grade level, and that's the point to drive home. Speaking to the MAP data, so it is a requirement when our students test, we keep talking beginning, middle, and end of year, that family report is sent home. Not only that, but in parent-teacher conferences to really showcase that family report, very user-friendly. It has graphs, it shows growth, and it defines a lot of these key terms. So that's one way, along with our family engagement events. So it's a job that never ends, but I 100% agree with you that with the parents, along, of course, with our staff, is the way to move the needle. Thank you for your question.
Ms. Garcia, could you come up, please, and share the work you did with the teachers on planning for the first 100 days and talk about the really strong focus you've had with your teachers?
This is just a sample of what we have.
Can you use the mic, Ms. Garcia, please? Yes, and use the mic, Ms. Garcia, please, because we are live. Thank you.
And so you'll see here, this is the grade level. So at one of our meetings, when we returned back to campus, we had all the teachers look at our data. With the exception of our pre-K teachers, they were at another training at that time. But what you see there is their data for Circle, their CLI data. That's the data that we also report to the state. So pre-K reports, we report Circle data. Kinder, we report Texas Kia, and it's all on their reading, their foundational reading skills. So you'll see the very first tab says Wave 1, that's our beginning of year data. And the second tab for each grade level says Wave 2, that's the middle of the year. So I had the teachers project, how do you think you did last year? So you saw how you did at the beginning of the year. You saw how you did at the middle of the year. How do you think you ended the year in each of those areas? And so they did their projections, and then I showed them their actual scores. And what we saw was some of the grade levels were on track, but some of them overestimated. And so what we realized, and then we went through our STAR data, we looked at our NWA MAPS data, is that the most growth occurred from August to January. Like, that's where we saw the most growth. We did see growth in the second part of the year, but the bulk of our growth became at the middle of the year. So then they set their goals for this year as well. And then if you continue to see the packet, I showed them the year goals, the goals that we created together as a board, and then the progress measures that we worked on. And we talked about how for them, they said, this is hard, trying to come up with our own goals. So we said, well, imagine how our board felt. They had to do this for the entire district, but we did it together. So from there, we discussed the first 100 days of school. That's where we have the most captive students. That's where we need to do the most growth. What can we do differently this year? So one of the things that we are planning on doing differently is starting after-school tutorials in October and not waiting until November, December, January. Start early and end by January, February, before our students are burned out and our teachers are tired. So that is one of the things that we're doing. We also restructured our RTI so that our intervention time, our aides, which were traditionally grade level aides, the kinder aides, the first grade aides, our paraprofessionals, they're actually now following the students through their intervention time. So when kindergarten has their intervention block, all of the aides go and they assist during intervention. When first grade has their intervention, our win time, our what I need time, all of them go and they help those students. So our interventionists right now, they're identifying which classes have students with the most needs, identifying those students, and that's who they're gonna follow. So they're becoming student interventionists, student aides, not necessarily teacher aides, it's the student aides. So we're restructuring, we're following a whole different schedule. Right now we're adjusting because it's different. It's not the schedule we followed for the last 3 or 4 years, but based on this data, we decided we need to do something now, we need to do something different so that we don't get the same results we've always gotten. Any questions? No, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Excellent work. Thank you.
I just wanted to add what Mr. Morales was saying about getting parents involved. And so one of the things, and I guess you were reading my mind, because I've been collaborating with federal programs, because we're going to be, our curriculum department is going to be putting on some parent nights just to review this type of information and speak with the parents about the significance of this, and along with that, and how they can use the existing state platform to review their child's data, but also how they can monitor using the adaptive programs that we are currently using. So like that, like Dr. Turbacao was saying, when we do have these parent-teacher meetings, they can go in there a little bit more informed. So we're working on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to add a little bit to what everyone is saying, and back to what Mr. Uriegas mentioned earlier about, I think I understand what you were asking, other than your big projections as far as those data points, what are we doing in between? So another thing that we are doing is the cluster meetings are going to be very data-driven. And so that's going to be based on what we're doing weekly. So we're looking at our data weekly. We're having those meetings. We're creating small goals during our cluster meetings, which are cluster meetings are PLCs, which are professional learning communities. And back to what Mr. Morones was saying, I think it is very important. Growth progress measures. It's written up there, that's what our GPMs are, but what is a growth progress measure? So maybe define that for parents when we're explaining that to the parents, because that will be very important for them to understand all of that. So.
And that's kind of where I was going.
I figure it out.
Whether it's 3 weeks or 6 weeks, at one point we saw teacher data. We saw teacher. And that's the kind of info that I would like to see, or maybe my colleagues, maybe every 3 weeks. Okay, they were here in September. Where were they the end of September? I'd like to see that, and just to kind of, I want to get excited like them. I want to see how they're progressing and moving along.
And in our cluster meetings, those are going to happen weekly, and we are going to be setting goals, and then we're going to be meeting weekly. So. We're going to have to meet weekly, see if we're meeting those goals, and set new goals. This is going to be every single week. For the junior high, you're welcome to come. I can give you our conference, because it's during our teachers' conference time, And it's going to happen every week. We will be meeting and having those discussions based on the data.
Right, thank you.
It's going to be Thursdays at the junior high.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Great job, Ms. Guevara.
Do we have any, if we don't have any other questions?
Madam President,
Yes.
there are no more questions. I'll make a motion to approve the goal progress measures as presented.
Motion made by Al Doria, seconded by Oscar Morones to approve the goal progress measures as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item 6, public comment. Okay, we don't have any public comment. 7, we'll go to the CSCISD SHAC Annual Report, August 2025.
Good evening, Board President Franco, members of the board, and Superintendent Pearson. I'm here just to give you a brief report on our SHAC for the 24-25 school year. Over the past year, the SHAC held 4 meetings. In September, we talked about the local wellness policy. We also we built our wellness plan and the nutrition guidelines, which later brought to the board for approval, so thank you for that. We also talked about the exempt fundraiser days, and we also spoke about the fresh fruit and vegetable program, which I was very proud. We were awarded $57,000, which we spent all but 74 cents. So we also we spoke about the CACFP, which is our Child and Adult Care Food Program, and it just brings music to my ears when I heard Ms. Garcia saying that they're going to start tutorials early in October, because that helps our program as well, and we can extend it to the end of the year, so thank y'all for that. In January, we had Coach Christina Diaz presented on CATCH, which is our coordinated approach to child health, and the implementation of the rigorous exercise for CSE and CSI. In April, we had Mr. Michael Rodriguez from Healthy Futures of Texas. He gave us a presentation on big discussions and On My Way, which are both sex education curriculum. I have also, thanks to Ms. Pearson, I have also been in contact with Jennifer Vogel from San Marcos ISD, and we've also been talking about another curriculum that, speaking to Mr. Talamantes, we find might be a little bit more appropriate for our CSI students. It's called the Human Growth and Development Curriculum, which we will be discussing and possibly bringing back to the board. And then in May, we did talk about the extension of our summer feeding program. And I just have to say, although it wasn't what we expected, we did feed over 700 students. So it was pretty positive, and I'm very happy to announce that. Ms. Carissa Munoz, who's with Texas AgriLife, also talked about Dimmitt County having market days. And of course, they held the annual health fair in August. And they also held free haircuts for students also in August. The SHAC has held the first 25-26 meeting on August 21st. And we have discussed the triennial assessment, which we will be bringing to the board at a later date. And that's all I have for you, unless you have any questions.
Were you able to get any students on your health committee?
I do, sir. I have 2 students this year. Last year, we tried numerous times because I had changed the times for a later time in the evening. Our students were not available, but I do have 2 very enthusiastic high school students that are on board. Thank you.
Mrs. Marroquin.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, very much for the work you did this summer. Not only did you provide some meals in Carrizo, but you went out of town as well, right?
We did. We provided meals in Asherton and Big Wells as well. Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good
You're-
job to everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your support.
Board President Franco, if I may, I just want to thank Mrs. Marroquin and her leadership with the shack to really step up in that area. I'm very, very thankful to you. And I know, Board, in your consent agenda, you have the members that she was able to get for the 25-26 year, and I just appreciate your work, Ms. Marroquin, so very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll move on to item 8, superintendent briefing.
Thank you. So we're going to start with recognizing our 2-a-day workouts this summer in our athletic department. Our coaches showed up, our students showed up. We're very proud of them. Our convocation was a huge hit. Thank you to the board for attending, for your presence, and for your well wishes. We had so much fun. We really kicked off the year with our Wildcat Way. Our special education training this summer under the leadership of Mrs. Zuriegas, who stepped into the role and has just brought excellent training for our staff. I've heard nothing but compliments on the training. Thank you, Mrs. Zuriegas. Teacher professional learning by our curriculum and instruction team from NIET, our partnership with the National Institute Teaching Excellence, and also with STAR, Lead Forward STAR Math. Our teachers absolutely loved the math training. So Ms. Franco, thank you for acknowledging the great start that we've had. The scrimmage we had last Friday at our beautiful Frank Carter Stadium. We're ready for the Friday Night Lights. We've had 2 scrimmages so far, and they're definitely working hard for the football season. We had our first ever Meet the Cat event that was under the leadership of our AD, Gio Gonzalez, and also our athletic department, and it was a great hit. We had our new teacher orientation. Thank you, board, for supporting that. We also want to thank our partnerships with the First State Bank of Uvalde and the Prime Bank of Texas for our breakfast and our lunch. Our teachers are joining us here in Carrizo Spring and very enthusiastic. And we had our Meet the Teacher, not just at the high school, although they had the very cool theme with the Candyland. We had our Meet the Teacher events at all of our campuses with tremendous turnout. In some classes, 100% of the students came to the classes to meet their teachers. Great job, principals. Our priorities, our Wildcat welcome back letter went out to our community. We are very excited that 2 of our campuses advanced a full letter grade. Our goal is to become an A-rated district. While we have maintained the D rating the last 2 years, we are on track to move that needle. In big hands of our CNI department, along with our teachers and our curriculum design team, planning with the end in mind and planning to teach for all. We're strengthening our safety measures with our Chief of Police, Richard Ramirez, and also our new safety director. We are also implementing through our curriculum department, our federal program, our district-wide behavior framework of Be Safe, Respectful, and Responsible. That is K-12 at every single one of our campuses. We are practicing Away for the Day cell phone expectations, where our students turn their phones off and leave them in their backpack during the instructional day. We are sharing responsibility with our families on ensuring that our students are safe during drop-off and pickup. That is a part of our safety plan. Improving communication channels. We have an attendance momentum. We have an attendance campaign. Thank you, families. Thank you, community, for helping us grow 2 percentage points from 89% to 91%. And we are now, our goal is to grow to 95% this year, and we know we can do it in partnership with our families to have consistent attendance, and our students show up every day. We have transparent updates on safety, learning, and expectations through our Parent Square, utilizing our paw print and our family engagement nights. We also have priorities in leadership visibility. That's all of our directors and principals, coordinators. Collaborate to elevate, which is one of our leadership Wildcat Way pillars. Provide, board-approved staff raises were given. Thank you, board, and through our teacher retention support, and also our 4% at midpoint for all of our staff. Administrators and counselors are visible and accessible. We want our families to know that we are here to work in partnership with you, and customer service is important to us. We want to maintain a respectful and inclusive environment, the Wildcat Way, with a shared commitment to excellence. Our bond-funded schools are designed for student growth, and we will continue together as Wildcat celebrating the unity and the purpose and the progress across Carrizo Springs CISD as presented by our curriculum team and our principals this evening. And that moves us into our bond updates. Our website has been updated from our last board presentation. We asked the expert to create the traffic and geotechnical videos, which have over 1,000 views on our social media and our website. We have the construction road mats that are being worked on currently right now, and virtual tours, the 3D campus models, which are also currently being worked on. Looking ahead, we will be working as a team with our focus groups on confirming color selection activity, and then our 2 RFQs for hazardous materials vendors and HVAC. We are working with our current, we are looking at what we're currently using now. Mr. Reese is involved, and also Mr. Yerbanes Jerry is involved with these as well. Security cameras, audio and visual company. We do have our project managers here, Nick and Chris, and so if you would like to add anything else, I will turn it over to you all, gentlemen. If there's anything you want to add? No, we're good? Any questions, board?
Questions, anyone? Question is, when are we breaking ground?
Good evening, Ms. Pearson, Board of Trustees. Thank you for the question. I believe last presentation, we looked at November of having a small breaking ground ceremony where we will bring GMP 1, guaranteed maximum price structure for 1 is basically the site and demolition and basically getting the site ready for going vertical with the building. So we're looking at November, hopefully right before Thanksgiving. But if anything changes, we'll let Ms. Pearson know to communicate that out. And we'll probably have fireworks at David Lee Garza, and no, I'm joking, but it's going to be a great ceremony.
We got that on tape because it's live, so you're committed now. Okay, if there's no more questions, we're going to go ahead and go on to the financial briefing. Ms. Diaz?
Okay, so for our executive summary, we have these are our revenues and expenditures through July 31 of 2025, which is 91.67% of the year that has passed. If we look at the general fund has Revenue to date collected of $60,691,284. Expenses of $27,604,939, with revenues over expenditures netting at $33,086,345. And so, as of July 31, then the revenues over expenses are at $57,131,798. For food services collected 93% of their budget, and expenses are at 81.83%. The revenue collected so far is $1,758,179, and our expenses are $1,917,893, with a difference of $157,714. And for the debt service we've collected as of July, $11,485,384, and expenses as of July, because we made our bond payment in August, of $4,465,300, leaving the revenue over expenses of $7,020,084. Now, I've already, on the next page, you'll see our unaudited end-of-year estimates, which I've already covered earlier. So I'll move on into the general fund overview. On the general fund, again, we're restating what we've just covered, but here you'll be able to see there in the line item details for local revenue, state and federal revenue, and then the expenditures by function. On the next page, you'll see the food service revenues and expenditures, revenue for local, state, and federal, 1.7 million, expenses of 1.9, and the difference revenues over expenditures of 157,714 that would come from general fund balance. And then on the next page, you'll see the debt service overview, which again is just restating what I just outlined. Okay. On the next page, will be our board budget amendments. So you'll see that this is a little bit different. What I did is I made a column for each fund. So for Fund 199, I did a total and a subtotal at the bottom. For food service, I did a column for that fund. And then for 511, I also did a column for that. And then for the construction fund 620. It's still the same information that you had before, except I'm just making the subtotals in between for them. I do have end of year board budget amendment to present to you. It'll be coming up later on the agenda, subject to your approval. And then on the next page, you'll see our special maintenance projects overview. The board had approved $350,000, of which we have utilized or transferred $103,026, leaving $246 of unused maintenance and projects, special maintenance projects budget. On the next page, you'll see the interest earned for the year. So on the top part, you're going to see it by fund. So general fund, you'll see year-to-date through July, we've collected $1.8 million. Interest and sinking for the year through July is $337,629.50. And then we have two construction funds, two small construction funds. One of them year-to-date is $116,442. And in the second one, which is where our bond money is, it's $3.8 million. So the total for all funds for the year through July is $6,164,355. For the month of July only, the interest is $765,414. On the bottom half, you're going to see a recap year by year for all funds. Okay. And then on the last page, you're going to see the construction financials. So I'm giving you an overview of where we are for 23, 24 on the bottom half. And on the top half, you'll see where we are for the new year. We've collected 3.9 million in local revenue, the interest. And then in expenses, we're at 2.5 million. And that's the overview on the financials. That's all I have.
Question, Madam President.
We have a question.
Yes.
Regarding the 4% pay increase, what was the total cost for the school district?
The 4% increase,
Yes.
I'm sorry,
The total cost?
budget?
What was it, the total cost to the budget?
Total cost of the 4% pay increase for
Um,
all staff?
I don't have that with me right here at this time. I can definitely get that to you, sir. Yeah. I believe I shared it at the budget workshop on this past week, but I didn't bring it with me.
Okay. Oh, another question.
My mic is out, so I apologize. With the special maintenance project, are we just carrying over that 246? Are we gonna start over at 350?
No, it does not carry over at all. And so what ends this year, it ends. And in the new budget, we did not propose anything. We would come to you, and if you would, you know, at that time, then you could consider it, but we did not, it does not roll forward.
So the 350 wasn't budgeted for this one? Oh, okay, okay. Any other questions? Everybody good? Thank you, Ms. Diaz.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to item 10, approval of consent agenda items.
Nothing stands out. President Franco, I make motion to approve consent agenda items as presented for July 15th, July 22nd, July 29th, and August 6th, and August 19th.
I second.
Thank you. Oh, do we have a question? Do we have to approve it per item or the total?
Is it all the consent agenda items together? We're approving.
Can we have some time to review?
Okay.
Item G. Item G.
You have a question?
Somebody, they can, like, discuss.
You have a question? I think that's like naming the vendors that they get them from, they get these supplies from. That's what that one was.
I have a question, Madam President.
Okay, yes, sir.
On item G, H, yeah, on item G and H, which is the request for proposal, maintenance, operation, and building supplies, and the request for proposal for shirts, students, uniforms. I guess there are, you already selected the vendors that have submitted the proposals, right? I think for item G, you have three proposals, and for H, you have 6.
She's got 3 vendors here.
Yeah. With these vendors, supposing you need to order some supplies, do you have to get quotes or bid for such supplies?
Yes, sir. So the idea would be that at the time of placing the order, our employees could solicit bids or get pricing on the items that they're purchasing at the time. So today, if the board approves, what we did is our evaluation committee took the bids that we received and recommended the top, which one are we talking about right now? Maintenance and operations? So what we did is we took the top 6 that scored 85 points or above, and the way we did that is we looked at the discounts that they were providing to the district. Now, at the time, the board would be authorizing that we could purchase from any of these 6, any of these 6. But
Do you have to ask for quotes from all the 6?
we would at that time, we could at that time determine that, or as long as we go through any of the 6, we would be authorized to do that through your approval. So we could ask for all 6 quotes, or we could go with one or the other.
Yeah, because I think you have to get the best value.
Yes, sir.
So you have to ask the quotes for everybody.
That's correct. Now, I will also add that for the most part, we buy from our cooperative vendors. And so that is our priority. However, this gives us the authority to try to do as much as we can locally as well, and help our local, because a lot of them may or may not be part of the cooperative vendors.
Thank you. And on item K, approval of the budget amendment as presented, is this the same amendment that we did for the past month, or is this a new amendment?
Are we looking at the end of year final 24-25 budget amendment, sir? Is that the one you're looking at?
Yeah.
No, these are
Item K.
Are these previously approved, or are these new amendments?
No, sir, these
That
are,
will increase the total expenses for the year.
yeah, I'm looking at that. Hold on. Yeah, these are the end of year to realign by cross function. So we're required to bring to the board what our expected expenses would be across the functions. So that's what these 3 are. One is for the general fund, one is for student nutrition, and for INS.
So will this affect the total expenditure for the year, or it's just a transfer of funds?
Not expenditures, it is to ensure that our budget covers any deficits, if any, between the different functions. So we're not actually asking for additional funding, it's just realigning them.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
President Franco, I do apologize. We're approving all items. I apologize, sir.
Correct, yes.
I stand corrected. So again, I will rescind I do now make the motion if there's no further questions. Yes, sir. Okay. July 15th? Yes, sir, you're correct. Thank you.
One last question. On item F, approval to ratify the initial cost of recapture payment to TEA for 24-25 school year. So this will amount to like 300,000 something?
Which item is that
The
exactly, sir?
refundable recapture amount.
Oh, okay. Hold on, let me get there.
I think we were overbilled by TEA, so they have to do a refund of, I don't
Yes,
know,
sir, you're correct.
300,000 plus. So
You're
this
correct.
This will be added to our revenue for
It will,
this year.
it will not be, because we're receiving it in the new year, we're actually gonna record it in the audit year that it actually belongs, which is this year. It would actually, it belongs to this year. So even though we collect it in September or October, it would be recorded in this year's audit.
Yeah, so it will be deducted from our expenditures for the recapture, right?
It'll be, yes, sir, you're correct. It'll be a reduction in expenses by that amount, correct.
Thank you. Where was it? More question? Madam President, if there are no more questions, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
With the correction to July 15th.
Yeah, as corrected for item A.
Okay.
Any second?
We have a motion by Al Doria to approve the consent agenda items with the,
As amended.
as amended for item A. Do I have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Noe Zarate. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz.
Okay, we'll go to item 11, discussion and possible action items. A, consider approval for resolution 2025-12, designation of officer for the Carrizo Springs CISD to submit rates to the governing body of the taxing unit for tax year 2025.
Yes, ma'am. So in this resolution, you would be designating myself to be able to submit the approved tax rate to the tax office.
Do I have any questions? Do I have a motion?
If no questions, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the resolution for the tax rate.
Second.
Motion made by Wilbur Cruz, seconded by Jeff Ortiz, to approve the resolution 2025-12, designation of officer for the Carrizo Springs CISD to submit rates to the governing body for the taxing unit of tax year 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. B, consider approval to accept the no new revenue tax rate and voter approval for tax year 2025 for the Carrizo Springs Consolidated Independent School District.
Okay, this item and the language presented here is prepared to us by Moken Casey as well. And so the 2025 no new revenue tax rate and voter approval rate for Carrizo Springs CISD so we do not require a voter a voter approval tax rate for the 25 school year, and there is no new revenue rate being recommended.
I have a point of clarification, Madam President. With regards to the adopted tax rate, for next year's tax rate, we are going to adopt the voter approval tax rate, right? But not the no new revenue tax rate. So
Can you come up?
I think we just include here the voter approval tax rate because it's the one that we are adopting, not the no new revenue tax rate.
Right, and we're not recommending an increase that would require a voter approval.
Yes, because the voter approval tax rate, it's the maximum tax rate that we can adopt, right?
Yes, sir.
So I think we need to strike out this no new revenue tax rate because we're not adopting it.
Well, this is just to accept it, right? This is what that means, to accept
Approve to accept.
the no new revenue tax rate.
Okay, so the language,
This means that we're accepting
The language.
that we're not going to impose, that we're keeping the same tax rate as last year, correct?
We're just adopting one tax rate, which is the voter approval tax rate.
so the language reads, the administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve to accept the no new revenue tax rate and the voter approval tax rate for 2025, meaning that what the voters had already approved, we recommend not to exceed that level. If that makes sense. For the tax year 2025 for Carrizo Springs CISD.
I'm asking it because if we can choose what to adopt, we can adopt the no new revenue tax rate, which is higher than the voter approval tax rate, but it also doesn't need voter approval, right?
I'm not sure that I understand your question, sir. I mean, the recommended language that we received came directly from Moak and Casey, so I really would not want to recommend a change. I don't know if Ms. Sandoval, can you help us?
Yeah, Ms. Sandoval?
Yes.
Right there.
Bringing in the expert here.
Thank you. Basically, what this is to accept the worksheets that were calculated and with the values that were given to us by the appraisal district. So, yes, you're correct, Mr. Doria. The no new revenue is higher than your voter approval. But being that you're still going to accept a lower rate, then there is no time, or you don't have to do an election. So you're in line to go ahead and proceed.
Yes, but if we adopt the same rate as the current rate, which is 0.815 something, it's still below the no new revenue tax rate, right?
Yes.
But it's higher than the voter approval tax rate that we're going to adopt by 0.0029, I guess.
No, the voter approval is the same. What you're proposing is going to be the same.
So, can we not adopt the current rate,
Excuse me?
which is 0.0029 higher than the voter approval tax rate that we're going to adopt?
No, you're reducing it.
It's lower. It's lowering by
Yes.
0.0029.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but if we adopt the current rate, we're gonna get revenue which is higher than, a little bit higher than we are going to.
Sir, to clarify that, the rate that we're choosing to stay at the higher rate or the same rate as last year is the INS. So on the INS side, we are proposing to maintain the same rate. And you're right, the board could adopt the previous rate, but the additional portion to leave it the same is what would generate the 1.9 million that would go towards defeasance should the board go that route. But on the M&O side, which is the maintenance and operations, that is the one that the proposed tax rate is to decrease by 0.0027? 0.0027.
Yes, because by adopting the voter approval tax rate, we included the 8 golden pennies for the enrichment tax rate, right? That's why we came up with that tax rate. But I was thinking that if we adopt the no new revenue tax rate, we can still use the golden pennies if you want to.
They're already
And we are using, I specifically with Ms. Diaz had that conversation with Mo Casey, and it's a little bit confusing because you see a decrease in the M&O.
Yeah. Right.
Because we have those 8 golden pennies, we are at the compressed highest level we can go. That is absolutely fact check. We could not change the tax rate without going out to the voters, and the board did not want to do Vader. We would have had to do Vader back in July, which is the voter-approved tax rate. It's a process through legislation through the state of Texas. I did bring that to the board at the budget workshop, and the board decided not to move forward with Vader. At that time, at that board meeting, we would have to have approved voter action on the tax rate, and the board declined to do that at that time. So therefore, we must move forward with just presenting the no change tax, because that is at the compression level. That is the highest we can do. The highest we can do without going to the voters.
Correct.
Correct, yes.
Well, we can adopt the no new revenue tax rate without going to the voters for approval. It's one of the 2 choices that we can do.
Actually, no, because the no new revenue is higher than your voter approval, you would have to do an election.
Okay.
But what we're approving is that our tax rate is not going to go up. It's not going to increase.
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
It's not going to exceed it.
Okay, just want to make that clear.
If there's no questions, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve as presented by Ms. Diaz.
Anything over that would have to trigger the election.
Okay, motion made by Wilbur Cruz, seconded by Oscar Moreno to, sorry, Morones, sorry. To approve, to accept the no new, to accept the no new revenue tax rate and voter approval for tax year 2025 for the Carrizo Springs Consolidated Independent School District. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, we'll go to item C, consider approval of the 2025-2026 Carrizo Springs CISD proposed budget.
Yes, ma'am. We presented this information in public hearing earlier. Unless you have any additional questions or input.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 Carrizo Springs proposed budget.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Al Doria, seconded by Wilbur Cruz to approve the 2025-2026 Carrizo Springs CISD proposed budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you.
D, consider approval of Resolution 2025-13 to adopt the proposed 2025 tax rate in two parts. A, maintenance and operation tax rate, and B, interest and sinking tax rate for the Carrizo Springs CISD.
Yes, ma'am, and the proposed M&O tax rate is 0.7122. The proposed interest and sinking tax rate is 0.1350, and the total tax rate of 0.8472.
I'll go to make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion made by Wilbur Cruz, seconded by Al Doria to approve the resolution 2025-13 to adopt the proposed 2025 tax rate in two parts, maintenance and operation tax rate and interest and sinking tax rate for the Carrizo Springs CISD. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. E, consider approval to enter into a facility improvement construction contract with E3 Integral Solutions, Inc., a partner of TASB, to implement facility improvement projects at the CSCISD High School and Junior High School that include roofing, HVAC, energy management systems, crawl space waterproofing, and district LED. Yes. Does anybody have any questions? I had a question. I have a question on your, on the contract under, on what is it? The 2.2 on the environmental incentives, which was, this is under the Article 2 compensation to E3. Can you explain to us what that,
Is that the 179D?
the section 179D?
Yes, there's some allowable expenses like for, basically it's a tax break for us because y'all are tax exempt, right? So if we do environmental improvements, energy efficiency, those type of things, we have to come to y'all to talk about the 179D for y'all to allow us to have that break in taxes. All that is, it just talks about, there's nothing with this contract in specifically that y'all are giving to us or anything like that. It's just bringing, 179D is a big deal right now. And so, oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I'm just saying because it's under compensation to E3. Is that money that goes, that you guys can earn? Or I don't understand.
That is if once we come to file taxes, then we would come to you and ask permission for a 179D exemption for us to get some tax exempt credits.
Okay, tax
Yes,
credits.
ma'am. But there's no compensation from the district coming to E3 for that.
Okay. That's the only question I had.
Follow-up question. Thank you, Ms. Fong. To my colleagues here and to Ms. Diaz and Ms. Pearson, I know we met last week and it was great conversation. Do we need to take any other steps in regards to the funding side of this?
That's going to be next meeting.
If the board so chooses to approve the
meeting?
contract and move into this
Okay.
work, then we would have a special meeting specifically on the financing with
Okay.
Humberto Aguilera, our bond counsel,
That's fine.
and working in partnership with Robert Tejerina, our financial advisor.
Okay.
At our budget workshop, we shared that there was an option of the maintenance tax notes, and these are also allowable expenses through our bond 2023 construction, but that would come in another board meeting to the board.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, Madam President.
Yes.
Did this resolution, did you consult our attorneys for the resolution? Is it, because if we approve this, resolution, because the cost of the project is in here, and I guess we don't we didn't do like quotes or bidding or whatever. So I just want to know if this is legal, if we can do this.
No. Like, without,
Without,
we're approving
the
this one without having done
RFPs
other
or bidding or RFQs.
No. Like, is that what you're saying? Like,
Yeah,
you're
if
only
we can
taking
do
that-
it.
Our attorneys did review the contract, and they felt confident with the contract, and so yes, the board, if the board wants to move forward with the contract, then the next step would be the finance.
Yep.
So is the question on the procurement? Is that, we heard procurement a question, or I'm not exactly sure what the question was?
He's gonna restate it again.
Okay.
If it's legal that we do this one, because I'm worried about some people that we're gonna ask if we got the best value out of these contracts.
Okay, yes, sir, so whenever,
We haven't undergone like proposals, quotes, or biddings, so I expect other people to ask us, how did you do it? Did the school get the best value for this project?
yes, sir, so, yeah, so when we did the workshop, we talked about our step-by-step that we took to procure the project, but back last November, the district went out for RFQs and went out for design-build RFQs, and design-build, you selected E3, and at that point, E3 becomes basically the general contractor on the project. From that point on, we engineer it, we design it, and we're hoping to implement it. But during that time when we talked about all the steps, we had all the walkthroughs and everything, where we had multiple vendors, and that was in that presentation that I handed out for y'all to have, that showed the steps that we took regarding that, so that there would be no question for that. But we had multiple vendors in every part of the project. On the crawl space area, we had it on the roofing, we had it HVAC. So the district followed procurement law, and we went through all the process, and we got the best value. Yes, sir.
Another question I have, so in this case, you will be, as the project manager, you're the one that's overseeing the vendors that you have that are gonna be actually doing the work?
Yes,
to
ma'am.
make sure everything is being done as,
Yes, ma'am.
As
Yeah, so
specified.
the contract is with E3, and we're responsible for every aspect of the project. So it's one neck to choke if something were to happen. We take responsibility for all subcontractors, if all the engineering. We said if there is a mistake, if we did miss something along the way, and we missed our dime, there's no change orders that we bring back to the districts. So it's that seamless process, and that's the value that we bring with our project. So.
And in this contract, you have to deal with subcontractors, right? You're engaging with subcontractors?
I'm not sure.
if you're engaging with subcontractors?
Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
You're going to submit subcontractors' name to the district, right? So are we gonna approve who to contract with?
I think you're saying you already did that process.
We already did that process, yes, sir. We've already walked subcontractors. So we start with the engineering. They put the specifications out there. We bring subcontractors in. They bid on the project. But we've gone through that process with the specialties, with the expertise in HVAC, building automation, crawl space, roofing, and in lighting, so.
I have a last question. You have some clarifications and exclusions in that contract, right? So is there something that the school should do that you won't do?
Is there something the school should do regarding?
On those projects that
No, we take full, it's our baby from, are you talking about in terms of the construction?
Yes.
No, sir, we're responsible for everything. The school doesn't have to do anything, commit any resources or anything like that.
If you would like to explain about these exclusions, it's in the contract.
on the exclusions, you're talking about like, there may be exclusions such as, what are some exclusions? Oh, hazardous material. If we run into hazardous material and then we stop, that doesn't include us going in and taking care of the hazardous materials. I'm trying to think of other exclusions that may be on there, but yeah, they're just standard exclusions. There's nothing there's no I gotchas or anything like that for the district, if that's what you're worried about, or that's what you're asking about.
So what time frame we're looking at again?
So it varies, as soon as I know like on the crawl space, we have to be able to dry it out first. So the HVAC for the crawl space, as soon as we can get it, we got lead time of equipment associated with that. But on every aspect, we're talking about totally being completed by September 1 of next year for everything. The roof, we're looking at December 31st of this year at the high school. And then I believe we had, we had at the high school on the roofing, finishing by December 31st, the junior high, March 31st. And then I mentioned the crawl space. We're looking at a year because we got to make sure everything's dried up before we can even start. HVAC equipment, I believe we were at 10 to 12 weeks of lead time, I believe. So we put it August 31st on that. And at the junior high, building automation, July 1st. So it kind of varies based on, our lighting will be done by this year, by the end of this year in 26, in 25, I mean. Oh, as soon as we start ordering equipment ASAP, but I bet lighting we'd hit maybe, Donald's our director of construction on this project, for probably 6 weeks.
I'd say lighting material, the lead time's not very long on the lighting material at all. So we could probably start lighting after, say, we had a contract September 1. We could probably start lighting by the end of the month. And then, like you said, total duration's 12 months. We have to have the equipment, the outside air units, the equipment that's going for the crawl space, the dedicated outside air units are a little longer lead time than that. So that's going to eat up some time before us being able to get into the crawl space. But we're going to do this entire project at no disruption to the day-to-day business of the school district.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes, question.
Just real quick, is it going to be one campus at a time, or is it going to be like multiple projects going on? Because I know we've got multiple schools we need to fix.
Yeah. So it's going to depend on the equipment lead times. That's how we can phase that. If we can do both at the same time, we absolutely would like to, unless the district is against it. But we would like to, yes.
But I think it's a big point, what Donald mentioned, we're not going to disrupt the learning environment. Everything that we'll do will either be after school, on weekends, holidays, and so forth. So if there's any disruption, we stay away from it. We stay away from the week of testing in the schools. So we communicate that real well with the district, make sure that nothing is disrupted on their part.
A good example, can I give an example? A good example of that would be, let's take the roofing, for instance. On the overlaying the material, putting the insulation down, anything that's going to be drilling, screwing, anything that could disrupt the learning environment will be done after hours, weekends, holidays. So they'll come in the evenings to do all of that stuff that we need done, and then during the day we'll be putting the material, staging stuff, and overlaying and sealing the stuff that doesn't make a lot of noise.
I have a question. I know on here it says on there about the warranty that it starts after you get the signed final approval.
Completion?
Yes. Yeah. What staff is involved in that final walkthrough that they're going to sign off on?
Whenever we have our kickoff meeting with the client, Ms. Pearson will determine who she would like that person to be.
Okay.
That would sign off on that. So.
Okay. Mr. Dorio, I think what he was trying to ask is, is there a certain work involved that belongs to the school? Because he's mentioning, like, on your exclusions, that y'all don't do certain type of,
We won't be asking the school to participate in the project or responsible for anything in the project.
any type of the, what do you call this? On any of some of the, like it says, is there anything, like, is there gonna be a pile of things there, like, that at the end that stays there, the school's responsible for removing and getting rid of, or something like that?
No, man, like all the equipment, we ask the district what they want to do with that equipment, but we're responsible for moving it to get it off-site, if that's, yeah. We're not gonna just take rooftop units off and lay them on the ground and then you're responsible for them.
Okay.
We're responsible for all that.
Okay. All right.
Ready?
Any other
I
questions?
have a question. Mr. Cantu, are you back there? Does high school or junior high have any questions, since this is going to be happening at your campus?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Condensation.
Ms. Diaz, can you give her the mic, please, since we're live? That way our audience can hear. Thank you.
So sorry. So the question is, the work that you're going to do, is that going to fix that problem that we're having with all the water leaking? This happens pretty regularly. So is that part of what you're going to?
Yes.
Okay, that's my question. I'm not entirely sure how it all works, but that's one of the biggest issues that we have at junior high.
So that's going to be either the air conditioning or condensation, or it's going to be the roof leaks, so both of those included in the budget.
Okay. Okay, that was just my question. Thank you.
Another question I have, like, I know I mentioned, like, what school, I know probably Mr. Ruiz would be in part of that walkthrough, but will they be, like, will Mr. Ruiz or principals, will they be having walkthroughs when different sections that as you finish, like when you finish with the roofing, are they gonna have a chance to go up and see, and get a walkthrough of that finished? And then as you're going through sections of the work that you're doing, will they, principals or anybody, director of maintenance, superintendent,
They
anybody
will,
have
but
opportunity to see the work as it's ongoing, see the progress, see the,
yes, ma'am. They will, but I'm going to hand it over to our construction, because they're the ones that do that handoff to the clients.
okay. Like, they're just not gonna be blind and at the end say, okay, we're done.
No, ma'am. We typically do weekly to bi-weekly progress meetings. We like to include the principals. We even have separate meetings with them if need be. Teachers, anybody who wants to be involved, anybody who wants to see the work.
I know some of us, would like to go and see
Okay.
some of that progress as it's going. I know we went to go see the walkthrough,
Yes,
some of the
ma'am.
things that we saw, so would we have also, like, maybe, pictures, videos to show, update, to share, that we can share at meetings to the public of the work that's ongoing?
So what we'll also do is we'll probably put stationary real-time cameras and capture the roofing as it phases through. We take a lot of photos, we take a lot of videos, and we'll come back and Mr. Savarino will do a board update with a lot of those pictures. We'll share all that stuff with you guys. You want to put it out to the public?
Yes.
Sure, not a problem.
Thank you.
And whoever wants to be involved in these meetings, please, yeah, whoever, it's open, so.
Thank you. I know I'm just saying it's information we'd like to share with the public. that-
Sure.
Let them know what's going on so they can see the progress themselves, not the end,
Right.
not at the end, just us tell them, oh, it's done, it's
Right.
fixed. We like to show them that the work
Yes, ma'am.
being done.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other question?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve, to consider to enter the construction with E3.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Wilbur Cruz, seconded by Noe Zarate to approve to enter into a facility improvement construction contract with E3 Integral Solutions, Inc., I'll read the whole thing. A partner of TASB to implement facility improvement projects at the CSCISD High School and Junior High School that include roofing, HVAC, energy management systems, crawl-space waterproofing, and district LED. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you all very much for the
Thank you.
confidence. We're going to do a great job for you, so.
Thank you. Item F, consider approval of the Dimmitt Central Appraisal District's proposed budget for the year 2026. That's this one. Yeah, that's this one.
Just the pay increase.
Yes, so you have a handout because we received an updated proposed budget from the Dimmitt Central Appraisal District. So for the current 2025 year, our annual amount is $677,987, and the proposed amount for the 26 year is $729,413, which is an increase of $51,426. And then, of course, all the detail is there for your review. I don't think Mama's here.
They did?
I think, correct. On this one, on this one.
Is he gonna make the motion?
Do I have, if there's no more questions, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Wilbur Cruz,
Second.
seconded by Jeff Ortiz to approve the Dimmitt Central Appraisal District's proposed budget for the year 2026. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item G, consider approval of the Carrizo Springs CISD Student Code of Conduct 2025, 2026.
Good evening, Madam President, Mrs. Pearson, board members. You have in your board packet the proposed TASB-aligned 25-26 Student Code of Conduct. If I may, and you also provided this information regarding highlights and changes as a result of legislation. So recent legislative changes as a result of the 89th legislature requires updates to our Student Code of Conduct to ensure compliance beginning with the school year. Key areas include the cell phone and device ban, HB 1481. A statewide bell-to-bell ban now prohibits student use of cell phones, smartwatches, and similar devices during the day. Limited exceptions apply only for medical needs or IEP 504 accommodations. Furthermore, another change or update to the Student Code of Conduct is in reference to House Bill 6 and expanded discipline flexibility. ISS is no longer capped at 3 days, but requires administrative review at least every 10 school days. And out-of-school suspension, or OSS, may now apply to students below grade 3 if they engage in repeated or significant classroom disruptions. A new virtual expulsion program will serve as an alternative for disciplinary placement. And then a final key highlight and update is relative to Senate Bill 207, mental health and attendance. It says that absences for appointments or with licensed mental health professionals must be excused, aligning them with physical health absences. Those are just a couple of the areas of update. Any questions? Anything I can clarify? Everything else is standard. I know that you all have heard a whole lot, a lot of information in reference to the 1481 and the cell phone ban. And we've
It's only been 2 days, but how's that been going?
I was just going to say, if you want to get some feedback from our
Just
campus
curious.
principals, Ms. Guevara, I did have a conversation with her yesterday and today in reference to that, and she said that she has not had any incidents in regard to that. I spoke to Mr. Cantu yesterday. He did say he had a handful of students, less than a handful of students that he had to address and pick up cell phones. But other than that, Mr. Cantu, what's today's report? Same amount, 2, 3? So that's great. Face-to-face interactions are taking place. Students are rediscovering each other and their social skills. And that's the whole, one of the main points of that particular piece of legislation. To minimize and eliminate distractions so that our students can focus on their social-emotional well-being and their instructional, instruction, bottom line, instruction. No distractions. Any other things that I can clarify for you? So we do recommend the adoption of the Student Code of Conduct at this time and approval. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to consider approval of the Carrizo Springs CISD Student Code of Conduct for 2025-2026.
Second.
Motion made by Jeff Ortiz, seconded by Noe Zarate, to approve the Carrizo Springs CISD Student Code of Conduct 2025-2026. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 12, executive session, discussion authorized by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.001, personnel matters, discussion of resignations, retirements, leaves of absence, reassignments, new employment, new personnel position, duties, responsibilities of employees. A, discussion on CSCISD Police Department leadership structure, and B, recommendation to approve professional staff contract extension. The time is 8:11. We are now in executive session. 9:14, we're back from executive session. We have possible action in open session for executive session items. Do I have a motion?
I second.
We don't need to say it? Okay. You need to say it individual.
I need to say what?
You said you need to say it individual.
I need to
each
say
one.
it?
Yeah, individual.
I make a motion to approve as discussed in the executive session on the CISD Police Department leadership structure and the recommendation to approve the professional staff contract extension.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by Jeff Ortiz, seconded by Noe Zarate to approve the discussion on the CSCISD Police Department leadership structure and to approve the recommendation, and to approve the professional staff contract extension. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. Oh, I didn't even know he was in here. Who was it? Jeff? And Noe. Adjourn? Motion made by Wilbur Cruz to adjourn, seconded by Oscar Morones. All in favor?